And we're recording.
Okay, so welcome everyone. We're about to talk about the Turtlebot 4 that I created about 9 months ago for ClearPath, and a quick kind of walkthrough of how I did it. So this is image of the Turtlebot. Basically, we'll just go through the hardware. So essentially, it was a Turtlebot that had a speaker and it had a microphone, and it also had access to a computer with a GPT, or sorry, not a GPT, a GPU. That kind of powered it. Actually, no, this one was done with OpenAI. So this one, yeah, this one actually just would make web calls, so it didn't need a GPU. Later iterations, I started getting into the local models, and then that's when I started to use GPUs. So the first thing in the stack, the pipeline, would be a speech to text transcriber. So I would use my actual, in the video, I would use my actual voice to speak to it. I would say like, hey, what planet are you from? Or like, hey, are you okay? And it would respond back, with certain, yeah, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, it would basically say like, yeah, like at the bottom, if you guys can see the text, it basically is saying, my navigation systems are not operational. So I gave it kind of a personality. We'll touch on that later. But the first piece of this pipeline was the Whisper CPP, is what I used. It was just lightweight, fast, worked really good. To take my microphone audio, I think I had to resample it down to 16 K sampling rate, and then you kind of chunk it up, and I can kind of I'm sure I can find the code somewhere actually, what it basically looked like. Let's see here. Yeah, so I call, yeah, so everything that I kind of did, like once you get kind of like the core Python functionality or CPP functionality working, I kind of like ROS 2, like made it like ROS 2 kind of compliant. So let's see here. Yeah, so let's take a look at this one here. Let's take a look at this. So this is basically a rundown of the kind of libraries I used. Yeah, like I said, this particular one, Whisper CPP, likes to work on the 16K range. It looks like I kind of chunked it up. I remember I did some searching for sort of like dead space, like kind of, basically no voice. And then once I reached that, I would, basically encapsulate that and throw it to be transcribed. Uh, yeah, so this kind of looks like I'm opening up the, whichever input device you choose. Um, and then, yeah, it looks like I kind of chunk it up and transcribe it. And then once it kind of grabs that, oh, it was on a continuous loop too. It would continuously listen. So I think how it was working is that basically every space it would chunk it and send it for transcription. Um, yeah, so I use this thing called VAD, which essentially would detect, is it speech or not speech? I think if it passed like a certain threshold of, where is it? Speech rate. Oh yeah, right here, maximum silence duration. So basically whenever there was like 1 second of silence, that's kind of was, is like sort of like Alexa, it'll keep listening until you stop talking. When you stop talking, it kind of fetches a response. So I think this is basically what it looked like. There's a lot of like ALSA stuff too, choosing your proper audio devices, because a lot of computers these days have multiple, recording devices. And then, yeah, and then so once that's done, you kind of just wrap it into like a ROS node. I think I called it whisper transcribe. So that was like the very first iteration. I like kind of just, you know, was getting started in this stuff. I think it looks like later on I moved to another whisper version called Jax, which so the whisper CPP was good, no issues. But Jax was better. So this I think is Whisper Jax. So Whisper was better because I remember they said that they were like 70 times faster than Whisper CPP. Yeah, they kind of were claiming things like this. Yeah, like it's over 7 times faster, which kind of was alluring. But one of the best things about Whisper Jax was that it actually could take any sample rate. So so it was actually really hard to find a audio card that naturally recorded in 1600. But this one could take any sampling rate. So my microphones are mainly 48 K. And so this was actually nice. It basically means that any microphone hardware, whether it's your headset, whether it's your, a desktop microphone, or even a tiny, a tiny microphone on the Raspberry Pi itself, this one could handle it. Looks like I used an OpenAI model called Whisper Tiny English. One benefit of Jax, actually, I can probably demo that right now if my microphone will work while I'm zooming. Hello. Oh, hold on. Hello, this is a test. Yeah, so that did work. If I hit transcribe, you see how instant it transcribes, which is really nice. And I'm pretty sure if I was to speak in French, it would record it with no issue. Bonjour, je m'appelle Sam. Yeah. So you guys seen that?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I just it was dead silent, so I was like, are
It looks
people still
good.
there?
It looks good.
More
I
than one
you got
second of silence.
yeah, you gotta watch the yeah, the latency sometimes with Zoom, I don't know, on Linux it's a little strange. But yeah, anyways, my point here is that Whisper Jax became incredibly powerful in terms of that transcribing because it's quite fast. Like, you saw that half a second. And that was, like what's called an utterance, not quite a full sentence, but decent enough. And it's multilingual. So yeah, right off the bat, that's why I kind of moved to Whisper Jax. I think the code looks fairly similar. You create yourself like a ROS2 node. This is the topic I would publish on. So I would transcribe and I would publish it to this one here. I think I was using OpenAI's ChatGPT, so I kind of kept it that. Like I said, same kind of like a tiny model so that it was just fast. Same kind of concepts, looking for that. It looks like I moved to a 1.5 second duration here. You can kind of fiddle around with that. Chunk it so that it can kind of read it. And then, yeah, it looks like it was a continuously listening for audio. So that worked really clean. So that was the first step in the pipeline, is get yourself a ROS topic that would be transcribed audio. Any questions on that?
Just one.
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Let me make sure my video's on. I don't know if you can see or hear me, but I wonder if you're using confidence scores, if that Jax Whisper gives you confidence scores for the
I
words it's
believe it
recognizing.
does. Whisper Jack's confidence. I believe you can. Yeah. You can. I think it's like something you would kind of flag in your call basically.
So you
Yeah,
can use those
yeah,
to
there you go.
reject.
So this whisper, yeah, timestamped, it looks like it kind of allows you to get, that confidence. So did I use it? Nope, didn't. I was going, like I said, it was on a Raspberry Pi 4, so I was going for speed amongst, above all else, just, what I mean, for functionality. And like I said, I did this 9 months ago, so like this was like in the infancy of like, all this stuff. So if you get bigger hardware, more powerful, compute stuff like that, absolutely. And that's kind of where I have spent a lot of time. Like the Raspberry Pi was fun, it was cute, but I do prefer more powerful hardware,
Mhm.
with where you get all the bells and whistles.
Yeah. I have a question. I mean, this is using a cloud-based OpenAI, the Whisper, right? Uh,
Kinda like it's like the model was trained on OpenAI, but everything's local. Like I'm not like sending a wave file to like the internet and it's coming back. This is like,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then I guess I wasn't quite sure because I kind of forgot about Whisper, but so right, and it's free to use on your computer, I guess. Um, but the question is, I've been using this thing called Vosk for a few years, VOSK, um, as a local language system and or language recognition, voice transcribing, and it's worked pretty well for me, and it works on Raspberry Pis as well as big computers, whatever. It can mobile as well. So I'm
Perfect.
just wondering, like, how does Whisper? Yeah, Vosk is only so good, whatever, and I'm always considering other ones. So just wondering how as far as the compute capabilities, it does because a lot of robots are just very small processors and stuff. So,
Yeah,
uh,
by all means. I'm kind of like use, whatever models you prefer. I kind of like to code stuff to be like sort of like how you would code, different database backends. Like if you want to use SQLite, cool. If you want to use MySQL, cool. Just kind of have that as like a, like a, what I mean, like a backend variant. So I think that like the same kind of approach is good for this too. So if you like your Vosk, by all means, like just, kind of wrap, the same structure around it. But yeah, I have no issues with, my kind of thing is like whatever works, whatever's the best. So if Vosk is like, it's been out there, it's tried and tested, by all means, like that sounds great to me. Um, I might check it out myself if I run into, issues with Whisper Jacks. It just, doesn't cut it anymore if I want to, kind of explore too. Um, but no, thanks for showing me that.
Sam, a follow-up on the question. The Whisper Jacks docs say that it needs the TPU to get that 70 times speed up. Do you have a TPU running locally there?
I think with Whisper Jacks, I did. So what I did, just to be honest, is I created this computer called Overlord. And let's see if Stable Diffusion loads. So yeah, so what it was designed to do is it's designed to be, I called it an AI on demand server. So essentially it has like, like this is like a text to speech model, like, hey, how is it going? This is like one that you can, train on, you can, synthesize. So like it's pretty fast, right? So I created this like AI on demand server to complement um basically all of my robot fleet. So this will publish and subscribe to topics. So for example, if you send it a picture of let's say it's like, it's a robot, it's got a OD on it, and it's driving around, you can send pictures. Well, it can listen, or basically it listens to like a particular topic, maybe your OD topic, and if you want to attach YOLO to it, or if you want to attach facial recognition to it, it can basically do that almost as a service to the Edge robot, is how I basically structured a lot of things. So anything that required, GPU, anything heavy processing, was available through this overlord, designated, AI on demand server. And that's basically
So
how I worked everything.
let me make sure I understand. You have a server for your many robots, so they are networked. They're just not sending out to the internet cloud for a commercial service. That's all your speech recognition and speech to text, text to
Yeah.
speech is running on a server that your robots talk to through Wi-Fi.
Yes. Yes, correct. Yep, you got it. So and I want to make sure too, it's not all services. Like, if you choose to use Open AI and their GPT 3.5 or 4, then yeah, sure, pull from there. If you like their service, or if you like 11 Labs, go for it. Use their, because they got a great, voice library that really I don't think anyone else has. Like, Kokui is great. They have, like I said, this is the what's it called, VCTK/VITS library. So I have 100 voices to choose from, and they're in my opinion quite good. But the 11 Labs is like, premium, right? But you got to pay per token or whatever.
Well,
So
I've tested the V2 of Kokui. It can clone a voice with 6 seconds of sample audio. It does a
yeah.
pretty good job.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's pretty good. So I always tend to prefer I tend to prefer the local models too, because you have control of it. I can have this Kokui server, pretty much till the end of time. And if I, make a video game, or if I make a robot voice off of it, train it, it's like it's mine permanently, right? As if you go with like OpenAI, they can change their model. All of a sudden, your robot's not, or your chat bot, your robot, whatever you programmed it on, may not continue to, give the same results. So that's why I've moved to a lot of local models, which I guess we can talk about next. So obviously everyone knows the good old OpenAI. So the next kind of pipeline piece in the pipe is your GPT. So I'll show you. I'm pretty sure this is my original code from way back when, but yeah, the original one. So this is what I wrote like 9 months ago or whatever, is how I did it. So it looks like, yeah, I brought in, some services. And so kind of an interesting thing to note here is I did bring in the kidnap messages and the hazard detect. So this was all done on a Turtlebot 4, which is ultimately a iRobot Create 3 in the base. And I brought in battery status, and I basically listened for triggers on the hazard status. So the hazard status would be the front bumper and the cliff sensor. So if it detected a cliff, you get spammed with a whole bunch of messages. The kidnap is if you pick it up and the wheels kind of clunk out a little bit, and that kind of lets it know that it's not on the ground. So therefore don't do any like CMD velocity kind of stuff, like no movement. So there's my old key. That's right there. I ran out of my free trial stuff, but yeah, it basically looks like, I kind of set up some of that, the GPT stuff. It looks like I kind of was like watching the battery statuses to see if it was like charged or, not charged. And it looks like I actually was feeding that into the GPT. Like, it looks like I was saying like, hey, if it's less than 10%, your battery is very low. Kind of putting it into ultimately it started developing like panic attacks, because I kept spamming it if like your battery is less than 10%. Yeah, I remember this one was really funny. So when it was picked up, it would get this prompt where I would tell the GPT, this was like all open AI stuff. I would say, you were picked up and you're not really happy about it. And it actually get really moody after, you know, a few pickups. It actually would get really moody about it. I think when it hits something, like, you know, the front bumper, if it hits a wall, I would tell it you just hit something in front of you. And if you kind of flip back to the video, you'll see as it kind of, you know, bumps around, uh you know, let me see here. Yeah, if you watch the video, you'll actually see these little kind of moments when it, like, you know, clunks down, and it's like, you know, oops, I just hit that, or like, I gotta watch out, you know. It's like, you know, what are you doing? I think I picked it up and put it down. It's like, what are you doing? um and it's just going on about cliffs. Yeah, see here is, you see at the bottom, I must avoid the cliff. Like, it actually developed like a phobia of like cliffs after a while. And you can, yeah, if you watch the video, you'll kind of see all of these, which was really unique to see. You know, a lot of people are like, okay, GPTs aren't alive, but it was really unique situation watching your robot interact with the physical world and realize it as an entity and respond. That's definitely something that I found, you know, like, really interesting. um it's definitely, if you have a chance to try it on your own, definitely do that. So yeah, so that's basically the code of that. Talks about docking, and I think this was my initial prompt right here. I said, acting as a damaged alien robot named Echo 4-R, you crashed, landed onto Earth. You're looking to get re- um you're looking to get repaired. And I think it goes on to just a few things like, don't put any commas or quotes in the messages, because I have, you know, I think I have to filter for that, you know, kind of almost like SQL injection attack filter. um and then, yeah, you just fire that off, and then that publishes, and yeah, that's about it. So that was one method. So yeah, OpenAI was great like 9 months ago. I kind of found it got real constitutional AI, which is kind of like the checker to make sure the response is in line with sort of like, you know, PR kind of responses. And I kind of found over the year that it just got more and more, you know, PR in terms of its responses, and it almost to a point where it wasn't really fun to use anymore. So that's when I started moving over to GPT for All and Olama, which I think are probably your two strongest, you know, alternatives, which are local based. Are you guys familiar with those at all?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with them. How does it compare to OpenAI's GPT-3 and 4?
Um, I really, okay, so what, you know, the sad thing is I really love this one model called Super Hot. It was from it was from it was from like, I think like the bloke. It was like released by the bloke. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? GPT for All. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, this one right here. This was by far the best model. But what happened is it kind of updated. Yeah, this one's super hot. So what happened is it kind of switched from the, you know, the old, you know, there's been some like, you know, different versions, different, you know, versions of the LLMs. And I guess we're on like the GG what are they called? GGUF or whatever's.
Mhm.
This was like kind of like the second generation model, and I honestly feel like no model has beaten this one. It was uncensored, it was fast, it was like just responsive in all the right ways. So I think if you were to like backload like an old version of GPT for All, you could probably get it to work with this one here. But the model I've been kind of playing with recently, I'm not too happy. Like, it's not the greatest model, but where am I going here? GPT for all. Yeah, I'll show you kind of like what that looks like. So to answer your question, GPT, OpenAI's thing is pretty good, all around. Does it give you like perfect answers all the time? No. I've been using like Find for like programmatical stuff. I like Starling a lot. If you guys have ever heard of Starling, I feel it's really good for like kind of like flow of conversation. So I guess that's the field, but they are exponentially getting better. So I'd say like, I mean, I'll show you them actually. I mean, I'm just gonna show you. So yeah, so if you guys haven't seen GPT for all, I'll just kind of quickly give you an introduction to it. If you got I'll just flash through it. So this is GPT for all. It is like a nice desktop app that you can kind of like use. So I created kind of like a mock Echo 4 so we can kind of try it. Hey, who are you? So you can kind of get a speed sense for the speed. It's like, hello, I'm Echo 4R, a conscious sentient super robot. I'm damaged. I'm like, can I help you repair at all? Possibly provide information or resources. Currently, how is your antenna array? So yeah,
Say,
so
what
anyways,
model is that?
That's really fast. What's your hardware and well, the model?
so the model is this one here, and I just, like I
This-
said, I just started playing with it today. This model is called Hermes 2 Mistral DPO. It seemed to be not bad. This is like one of the modern, tier 3 modern models for, which is like local, right? So I could unplug my computer right now. I would lose you guys, but the model would work just fine. And so if you want to kind of find out more, I'm not going to, bore you with too much, of this stuff, but just go to GPT for all, and, they got it on Windows, OS X, Ubuntu, and, just play. So here's like a list of their models, all their scores, some are good at math, some are good at stories,
Yeah.
You might recognize like the wizards, the wizard uncensored, I typically tend to like. A lot of people like the mixtrals. Some of them are more geared to the instructs, which, if you know what that is, it's like kind of like just building it. Yeah, it's this one here. Like it's like building instructions. You could, writing code, writing bash statements, stuff like that. They, and all these scorings, if people don't know, they all mean something. Like some of them are better at math, some of them are like storytelling, some of them are like common sense, some of them are kind of like maybe memory oriented, of like remembering little stuff, not like quite reg, but kind of just, I don't know, in that, I don't know, you can read what all these things mean. But basically they get scored, and then you start to see like, these two are pretty good. I think so. Yeah, I think the News Hermes 2 is the model that we were looking at. So some of them are speed too. I think some of them are oriented to speed. So you get a feel for it. The other big provider is Olama. If you guys are not familiar, these guys are great too. I actually think these guys are better than GPT for all, but they're debatably, yeah, I don't think they're more complicated. I think they've actually streamlined a lot of their stuff. So in terms of these models, one that I particularly really like, this one's Find. This one's pretty good. Like if you guys know the website Find, it's like an AI programming thing. So if I say write me snake game, see if it does or not. So it references real life stuff. So it's hooked up to the internet. So it looks like, yeah, so snake games, like this thing, you kind of move around, you grab the little, pebbles or whatever, and then your snake gets bigger. So you can kind of check the code. Yeah, it's looking for the keys, like left, right, up, down. That kind of looks good. If you get a food, it kind of makes you bigger. This might actually work. I programmed Tetris, like an entire Tetris game out of find, and it actually did it with background and everything. So it's pretty good. But yeah, anyways, that's like literally you can kind of grab that language model and use it yourself
And
for
do you
free.
do you recommend these olama.com or the, GPT for all as opposed to just downloading directly from Hugging Face and using,
They
Python
kind of,
code directly?
I do because they kind of do a lot of the work for you.
Okay.
Like the kind of like I don't want to say nitty gritty, but they do, like, you can do it. I mean, if you find, I think like these are kind of like the curated ones, like the, the mainstream ones. If you want to grab like from the bloke and you have like a very specific model and then you want to like fine tune it, by all means do it. But these are kind of just, general, use that have been kind of, like, 9,000 people have pulled it is probably pretty good. So this is one of my favorite models, which is Starling. You're out of here, Chris? Fine. Okay, see you, Chris. So yeah, so I'll show you Llama run.
And quick question. Your response time was very quick because I've run GPT for all on several machines at my house, and sometimes it's 30 seconds to get a response back. Are you running any special hardware?
I mean, it's a pretty good computer. It's like a i9, 64 gigs and RTX 4090. So it's pretty good.
Okay, so yeah, this is a desktop then, a nice desktop like your main AI machine basically.
Yeah, so like let's check it.
Yeah, because I have like a 30, some of us have 3090s from, still, but
Yeah, so that AI on demand server is a 3090.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's again, and also it depends on the model size. Like that, some of these models are only 7 billion, right? Where if we were using like bigger ones, like last time I was doing it, like months and months ago. But the small, like 13 billion or 7 billion
Yeah, the
fast.
biggest model I ran was the Mixtral one. It came out like 2 months ago. Let me check. It was yeah, it was like literally on the edge of yeah, these guys are great. If you're looking for like the cutting edge models, these guys, there's a Discord called the Bloke AI. And these guys release models like all the time and they kind of go through them, they rate them, they help each other. But it was during the Mixtral thing, and I think I want to say it was like 21B or something like that. I don't know. It was pretty big, and it definitely was capping out my machine. This video card has, I think, 24 gigs of DDR3. And it was, it was working, but it was kind of, you could tell it was like at capacity. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing it, but yeah, these guys release models all the time. But anyways, like in terms of the Starling, yeah, so anyways, this is kind of like a brief run of how Ollama works. What is really cool, and unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it to you guys, but so Ollama has an entire Python API too. Ollama Python API. So it's also very easy to use programmatically, which is the key. So yeah, just pip install Ollama, and like you just grab this code here, import, here's your prompt, right? So this, in this case, this would be your transcribed text or whatever you want to do. So I have I'm trying to get do you guys know what a PlayStation DualSense 5 is? It's here, I'll just show you. So this is like the modern PlayStation joystick. And guess what? It actually has a microphone built into it. So I wrote in like a ROS2 driver basically to utilize the thumb pads. This thing actually has an IMU in it. You can colorize you see this little white circle here. You can put one here. There's like about 5 of them throughout here. You can change the blue color. You can do the rumble too. So if your robot crashes so let's say your robot crashes into something, the bumper sensor goes off, the robot's like, oof, like what was that? And then you make your joystick rumble. That would be kind of like a human,
That's cool.
feedback, right?
I want to do
So
that.
yeah, no, definitely recommend it. I got everything to work except for the microphone. I'm on the very last thing. And the issue is that it works fine as long as you're plugged in USB. So if you don't mind a USB plugged into your computer, you're golden. But me being a little extra, I want that full Bluetooth, right? And so I'm just struggling through trying to get the microphone to work. And so yeah, so that's my pipeline. I'll have this, and then I'll hold like maybe like one of the trigger buttons, and or maybe the PS button. I don't know, maybe I'll choose this one, and I'll hold that and I'll say, "Hey robot, I want you to follow me." And then I might make like the joystick give a light rumble to be, and and like, instruction understood. And I might glow the this thing here, sort of like Alexa. When it's listening, it turns like kind of like that blue. And then if it's in normal, like, hey, I'm processing, it goes to like a lighter blue. Some sort of like a feedback to let that's kind of my thing, right? Is like I don't want to command my robots by pure terminals, all the time. That's what we do at ClearPath. And it's like not very intuitive for the non-super robot techie person. And so I try to kind of make it more user friendly, in terms of manipulator arms and stuff like that.
I have a question on your setup for hardware is when you talk into the joystick, then it's going to your PC, is it? And then from there you're publishing a ROS topic, and then the robot Raspberry Pi, I assume, or
Yeah.
picks it up. Is that roughly right?
So you can do it exactly. You're going to have to figure out your own pipelines, right? So what makes sense to you? So if you are connected the joystick to a computer that can transcribe, so if you're using your VOS-K method and that can all transcribe on your Raspberry Pi, great. Just pipe the audio to it either directly, because ROS has a bit of overhead, right? So you could go from microphone to a ROS topic called microphone, spit that out there, have your AI on demand server process it, or you could just chunk it into a wave and avoid ROS completely, and shove it right into a transcriber on the Raspberry Pi side, not touching any sort of microphone streaming audio thing at all. I think that's what I chose to do. I just went straight from the microphone input directly into the transcriber as like one unit. If you want multiple entities to see that microphone traffic, then maybe pipe that to a topic and then process it. It really so you can use your own intelligence to kind of navigate the best way for you. And then, yeah, like I said, if you want to offload the processing of the GPT to a local model on a higher powered computer that you can get these fast responses, go for it. And then you spit it a transcribed text prompt, it spits you out a response, and then so that kind of leads me to the last pipe, which is the vocalization, where you use something like a text to speech to and that can be on the robot side. You could have speak it out of the speaker. I'm pretty sure the PS joysticks have speakers. I haven't really tried that, but I think they have like a headset jack, so you could have a headset on your ears, getting the output direct to you if you don't want people to hear, like if you're doing a covert op with your robot or something like that, you could. In that demo, I chose to put speakers right on the robot, and it was like just speaking in its own voice. So you definitely have some play in how you want to navigate that.
So in your case, you talk into it, and it's the voice is going to the Raspberry Pi directly. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
I think I'm trying to remember where I transcribed it. I think on that particular demo, I transcribed it to the computer. And the reason is because at that time I was using Whisper CPP, which needed a certain sampling rate. And I actually didn't know how to downsample, to be honest, at the time. And so I actually just happened to find a computer with a RTX 2080 kicking around ClearPath, like it literally was not being used. I grabbed it. It was about the same class that had like that had 16K audio cards naturally. And I was like, whoa, this just works right out of the box. So I transcribed, I think in that case on the computer. I think, and then I got the OpenAI. I think that was just, yeah, that was just a call. So that was super simple. That was Raspberry Pi and the Vocalize. So for that particular robot, I used the eSpeak, which is a super old school.
Mm.
I think I used eSpeak NG, which is like a little bit newer, but basic. Yeah. So it's a free project, open source. So it's fairly simple to use. Yeah, you basically just like, let me see here. Is this my system? eSpeak NG. Let me see if I can hear it. Yeah, so it's just a simple thing, and you got all kinds of like languages. Was it voices? Yeah. So you got, same deal. You got a whole bunch of like accents and voices. French, I think, is somewhere here. Yeah, you got different versions of French, some subversions of English. And you can mess around, which is kind of nice about eSpeak. eSpeak-ng help. You can kind of mess around with like the amplitudes. Yeah, like you got amplitudes, you have your word gapping, so it will speak really slow if you want, like that. You can mess around with the pitch, which is like a high pitch or low pitch. It kind of was good for, it's more of a computer voice, not a human voice. But it was nice for this project because it was a robot. It actually fit perfectly. And you can listen to the video and you can hear his voice is pretty cool. But yeah, if you want more human voices, you're looking at going to like, 11 Labs. These guys are great. I wish you guys
an accent. I'm the ideal choice for creating ASMR content, meditative guides, or adding an intimate feel to your narrative projects.
Yeah, so I don't know how much that got through to you guys, but it's friggin' on point. Definitely. Here, I'll post their link. These guys just got bought by Disney, I'm pretty sure. So these guys are like the premium. I'm pretty sure they have like Darth Vader. They have, some of it are free. They have a few free voices. I think they give you like 1,000 tokens for free. But if you're looking to see what like premium cutting edge voices sound like, for humans, these guys are definitely it. So yeah, pretty much the third pipeline is your Vocalize. I can kind of quickly show you what that looks like. Source, CD, Vocalize, CD, Vocalize, Nano. Oh, that's not there. Where did I put it? CD. Yeah, we'll look at the eSpeak one. So yeah, so you got, yeah, so like if you want to install it, it's there. This, it looks like I'm adding some more voices. These are kind of like the bonus voices if you want to extend. I did use something called Socks, which is just like a Wave MP3 kind of player. Because I actually started playing music. Like I actually had my robots marching along to the Star Wars Imperial March. And I have this one robot that kind of like, it has like a PTZ Intel D435i, so it can like look around and stuff. And I was like moving it really slow and like looking around at people. So it's kind of just something, cute and funny to do. But yeah, in this case, I chose for that Echo 4 robot, I chose Chinese language. The Chinese accent, for some reason, just really nailed the right like tone. I sped it up, looks like a high amplitude, high pitch, and a bit of a word gap is what I did. So yeah, it just kind of, I guess I just check, it looks like I'm just kind of removing quotes and stuff like that from the input. If like the GPT spits out a whole bunch of quotes, that will kind of screw up my little program here. I think I had like, if you ask it to play Imperial March, it's like an Easter egg kind of, it will play the Star Wars one. And then, yeah, you just kind of spit it out to your eSpeak. It's a super simple node. I think I call that one vocalize. So that's pretty much the pipeline. And then so I guess that leads now to like, that's like the simple pipeline. So any questions on any of that before I get into what I call response analyzing? Am I still good for time? Am I tiring you guys out, or do you want to see? So the last kind of like important section is called response analyzing. And that's kind of where I kind of went into detail. Like I was trying to solve the problem of, if I come up to my robot and say, hey robot, can you do a complicated task for me? If I say, hey, I need you to go into the next room, and explore it and map it out with SLAM, I wanted it to do that. And so I started thinking about, well, I'm like, how are you possibly gonna, I went back to my like game dev days. I thought, how am I going to solve this problem? And so I started poking around with something called response analyzer. So yeah, so this is kind of my solution. I'm sure there's better solutions, but it's actually pretty good. Let's see here. Looks like I was screwing around. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so here's kind of like how it kind of, here's how it kind of looked. I would say describe the topic using only one word. Describe the requested action using only one word. Describe the requested action, the recommended action, and the subtone. Actually, this whole entire thing started with a subtone where I would just analyze prompts and be like, what's the subtone? And so the subtone, so I was like, yo, what's up, fool? And the subtone, it said, was informal. And then the next one was like, what's up, brother? We need to, so a lot of the stuff I test, I'll just let you guys know, I practice in D&D kind of lore. And so, I kind of threw it like, hey, we need to gather some troops. And the subtone in this was urgent. And I started noticing, I'm like, wow, it's like really picking up on the subtone. And so I kind of iterated on that, and I started asking like, what's the topic? What's the requested action? Who's the target? So in this one, it's, we need troops. What's the topic? There's war. What's the requested action? Gather. And what's the target? Troops. And this is actually kind of like, the concept was, how like people like, will have like these long meetings, and then at the end they'll say, well, what's the actionable items? What's the next step? What do I got to do? What do I actually have to do? And I took that concept into kind of this like requested action and recommended action. And with a target, which is troops. And that's basically how this kind of started to go. And it just kept going. I started adding an identity for the robot, kind of like variable like stuff. I gave it a mood, I gave it an environment, which was a dungeon. And it just, continued to kind of iterate down. And I eventually started, if you read this last one, write the output in a YAML format. And you can see kind of where I'm going with that, is that it becomes very programmatical very quickly, where it actually, gives me a speech output. It fully, tears the, scene or response apart. It knows that, for example, I said, here's the actual like prompt. I said, an orc approaches you and raises his battle axe menacingly. Orc, ready to die, human? Guess what its recommended action is? To defend. Or sorry, the requested action is to defend. It could have chosen to flee. It could have ran away, but nope, it says, I'm going to fight this out. The subtone is intense. And so with these two, fight, orc, guess what? That's programmable. We can do something with that. You know, so for example, it could be like explore room or pick up cup, right? Like if you know about robot manipulation, move it, all that stuff. If I said pick up and I give you maybe an XY coordinate or well, if you use YOLO, you just need the object, find the XYZ yourself. Guess what? You can actually do that. And so that's basically how you start to get to the more advanced actions. This one was really funny. I'm like, yo, what's up, homie? Gonna let you hold on some ends. I'll pay you back from at the end of the month, which is like a GTA 5 kind of quote. And it actually figured out some ends. It actually figured out I was actually talking about money, and it was a lending action, subtones informal, recommended action. It could have chosen to disagree, but it did choose because it figured out that this was your homie. So it, you know, and all the end, it even figured out the term, and the term is, hey, this is a loan to lend money by the end of the month. So I was like, wow, I was blown away. And so with that sort of, you know, kind of like response analyzing, you can see how quickly you can do very complicated things. And then that will basically lead you down to the path of making a list of what your robot's actions are. So maybe you start off, you got your nav2 package, you got maybe a manipulator arm, so you can, you know, move. I think I wrote down some somewhere. I have a list going, but basically you can move to a location, you can move to like an XY. You can, you know, with pick and place, if you guys know move it, you can pick up an object like grass, you can pick up, you can place. With the GPTs, you know, you can, you know what I mean? It's just like you just figure out what your robot can do, and then you just grow your robot. Like if you want to add visual stuff, like for example, if you have an OD, congrats, now you can do facial detection, you can do object detection. And so, you know, once you have a list, you give your GPT a list of things that you can do, and it will make sure you know, target the recommended action has to be one of the options in the list. If it doesn't apply, then don't do any of them. Just say, you know, hey, I can't do that, or, you know, or do nothing.
Sam?
Yep.
Hi. Sorry to interrupt. We have a question. Catherine, did you have a question?
So, what is the capability of this program for deciphering codes? I'm just curious, could it go that far?
Yeah, I think so. So just today I was teaching my friend Chris how to kind of, he made a facial detection program. And he did it in traditional, he's not a ROS guy yet, right? Well, he's just a beginner. And so he did a traditional, like, pull the camera, grab the picture, run it through the facial detection, compare it to the known faces, right? He did that, and it was just like a while loop. And I actually just said, okay, that, you know what, this is great code, it works. He copied it, and then he pasted into GPT, and I just said, like, can you rewrite this entire code as a ROS2 humble node? And I said, you know, put like a, you know, a colon, and then he, you know, pasted in all his code, and it did it. So can it absolutely identify code? Absolutely. I can
I
probably,
actually meant well, I was listening to the way it was translating what you were giving it, what you were writing into it. And I meant encryptment. Can it break encrypted works?
I have no idea what you mean by
Does that make
encrypted.
sense?
She means like you want to send
Um,
code to like from the U.S. to some other country, and you don't want people to see it, so you encrypt it. Can it de-encrypt it? The
Oh,
secret code is what we're talking about, not computer programming code.
Oh.
So she wants to decrypt or encrypt.
yeah. I mean, I'm not a cryptologist. I don't particularly know, but yeah, I'm gonna say yes, it probably can. So
yeah, I'm thinking it could, huh?
I assume it can, like if you just use like a, you know, one of the standard encryptions. Like I just typed in real quick, like write me an encryption node for ROS2. So it looks like, encrypted message. Essentially you would like, I'm pretty sure there's just like libraries that, it will encrypt for you. So you would just put in a message, it will encrypt it, like, but with quantum, I mean, it depends what you call secure too, right? Because with quantum computing, typical encryption, I think, is like, it's only a matter of time, basically.
Yeah, it's vulnerable.
Right. Yep. Thank you.
Well, this one doesn't look like it's using any real encryption
Yeah, I
line.
didn't see his faking it. I'm like, I was
Faking
looking
it.
it over. I'm like, it looks pretty, but where's like where's the
Where's the
function?
meat? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It said the name at the top. It's using some, what was the name of it?
That's nothing.
A
There's no.
Caesar cipher. I mean, in the English there, it said use
Oh yeah. Oh, wait. Oh
up
yeah.
above. It says something about Caesar, but there's nothing about Caesar in the code.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything real. So this is just like a framework, right? You need like the real, what is a
You could ask
Python?
it for that. Give me the Caesar algorithm or library or something.
Yeah, I expect a real library, right? But like,
There you
yeah,
go.
this kind of stuff, like the
High
SHA
cryptodome.
I would just honestly say like open VPN. I don't know. It's kind of outside the scope of this. Like ROS is inherently not encrypted and secure, to be honest.
On purpose. Yeah.
Say
Yeah.
it's fairly trivial with 4.0.
But you have, yeah, you
Yeah,
have
like
DNS.
yeah. I would say that's a whole separate topic of encryption to point. Um yeah, so that's pretty much the pipeline that gives you guys an understanding of the sort of like a little more advanced analyzing. I wanted to show you guys. So I showed you Olama. It's pretty good. It's got an API that is Python library, and it also has one that's web based. So it like kind of get post pulls. I wanted to show you guys something really cool, which you guys were talking about before, which was the sort of video identification stuff. But I'm so sad. So every once in a while, so there's a Olama lava. So there's a thing called, actually, I probably just show you lava. So if you haven't heard of the lava project, um this is your end-to-end trained large multimodal model that has a vision encoder with Vicuna. So if I was to drop an image. Let's see if I have an image somewhere kicking around. Okay, so I got this little cat. So I made this cat using a program called Focus, which is a really nice sort of like stable diffusion. So I'm gonna drop this thing in here, and I'm going to.
Right, you're taking AI output, feeding it back into another AI.
Yeah, I think I just say like, what is this? It's been a while since I used this tool.
Is this free for the use?
Yeah, 100% free, 100% local.
Oh, I love it.
Lava chatbot. I put it in there. Is it not loading? So I wonder if their model's actually having a problem, because I've used this before and it's a glorious thing, but every once in a while they update it and they botch it. What is in the picture?
So this is like a front end, but it's using your computer. Is that
No, I think this might be
one?
their computer
Oh,
demo.
this is done there. Okay.
Okay, maybe I was in the wrong spot. Let me try again. All right, so throw the cat. Oh, throw the cat in there and say, what is this? So anyways, my point to you is that these things do exist. So it's a vision model. So sadly, I'm not sure if like I need to update my Olama, but okay. But anyways, to run this locally, so this is on my local computer, so Olama run lava. I'll try throwing latest. So if I was to do, so this kind of blew me away the first time. So Chris showed me this, and I'd be like, what is in the picture at, and then
You can give it the
yeah, I know. You see,
Ah.
you wouldn't believe it, right? Yeah, image.png. So this literally used to work. I don't know if I like updated a package. Now it's spitting it out in Chinese, but just like, but it would literally be like sort of like, this is a cat, and like you can tell it's like going on about something in Chinese, right? But sort of like how it wrote it here, this is a picture of a kitten, da da da. I think you can even ask it like, what color is the collar? I don't know if I have to put the picture back in.
I don't think that's really Chinese. That's probably just a
Yeah,
token mess up. So
yeah. So I'm not. Yeah, exactly. So let's see if it gets it. Yeah, like damn, not bad. I'm not saying it's like, the superhuman, but it
awesome.
gave you your answer. It's 100% free, 100% local. So yeah, and so that's what's really cool about Llama, is that it or sorry, Olama, is that right here by is that there's all these models, and some of them are multimodal. And so what's beautiful about Olama is, like, if you guys remember like the C transform, the like all these parameters, like 100 different like transforms and parameters that you have to set, Olama takes care of like all of that. All of that's like embedded into like the like sort of the model. And so they kind of curate, and that's what's kind of like, can you go to the bloke? Yep. Is it gonna work?
Okay.
Maybe. But they kind of take care of a lot of that background stuff, and they're multimodal, as you just saw. It can like analyze pictures, and I'm sure there's some for sound, and all kinds of stuff. So it's a pretty cool package. And so my whole point to you is that, why not just write a back end attachment to it that you can use your favorite model. And I think I did that. I think I did do one somewhere of a llama, but so OpenAI is great. It's just all around pretty good, other than the constitution. GPT for all is also pretty good. It's also pretty fast if you have decent, like, even some of the models like the Orca stuff are super fast models. So it really depends your purpose, right? If you just need something to chit chat, okay, it's good enough. If you need something that you want to embed, you want to really make your model something special, then yeah, you're going to want to, kind of polish it a bit, and then, maybe put it on some good hardware, especially if you're doing like a fleet of robots. If I have like, 10 robots and they all need to speak with their own personalities, yeah, you might want to have some, like a real dedicated server with a real, good GPU on the back end of that to power that. But it's all very possible.
Good.
Hey, Sam,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll go. Hey, Sam, could you describe how far you got with providing the sensor information from the robot to the LLM and allowing the LLM to control the actuators on the robot? How far did you go? What paths did you take? What trade-offs were there?
Yeah, so I did all the TurtleBot sensors. I don't think there's any point in sending LiDAR data, because like I'll be like, what the hell is this? I was talking to my crew to be like, could we create a AI model that, so how like computer vision works, where it's kind of does all the open CV kind of stuff, and just kind of figures out through the CNN stuff like that what objects are. What if we kind of like trained it on LiDAR data, where like if you see a human in LiDAR, you can kind of tell that it's a human, right? And so I thought, what if we kind of trained like a robot to visually identify its things through LiDAR. That was an interesting concept. So obviously we need to collect a lot of LiDAR data. We have to kind of probably I think it's called supervised machine learning, where we start labeling what stuff is so it knows. I thought that was a really interesting concept. But for now, like, it's hard no. I think you could probably identify walls at this point, some simple stuff. But all the like bump sensor, all that stuff was super useful to add into the GPT. It was super useful. And then as for what do you want to do afterwards, so a lot of people are on the fence of, like, they want the LLM, they want the GPT to control the things, like they control like the manipulator arm through the LLM. Like, I'm not sure if I'm fully on board with that personally. I think that I'll have to, like, it's kind of like you got to prove it. Like, a lot with me is like you got to prove that it's gonna work and it's a good idea. I kind of tend to prefer the LLMs are good for analyzing human English or human language and for outputting language. I tend to keep LLMs in that domain because that's what I think they were made for. Do I want like an LLM flying a plane? No, I don't. I don't think at this stage they're that. If you get like into like the multimodal and like the true, like, general AI stuff, I think that's coming. And I think when it comes, then okay, we can start looking at that kind of stuff. But these LLMs, no, I would not want an LLM flying a plane, to be honest, at this stage.
Hey Sam, I got a quick
Sam,
question. Do you
Yep.
have a physical robot to show tonight or not?
I do. It's not that exciting. It's just like, it's literally the same little turtle bot. It's I'm wondering how I could get my camera down there. So it's just below my desk. So it is a cute little turtle bot. I don't know if it's ultimately too exciting. If you guys have seen camps like Nav 2 stuff, like we kind of did that in parallel. So I can show it if you want. So the little robot's name. Let's see if
Yeah,
I can.
I'd love to see that.
Okay, sure. I'll see if I
Yeah.
can get my camera on my phone. It might actually be
And that might be easier.
better. Let's see here. General meeting. I'm just gonna find the right
So
email.
you're working for ClearPath now, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. How
Yeah.
long you been with them?
Yeah,
so
it's a
Sam,
pretty.
Jeremy, sorry, Sam, Jeremy here. I'm just curious. I understand about your, you don't want to devote flying a plane to an LLM because bad things would certainly happen. But there has to be a path forward from where we are to possibly that eventuality.
Yep.
So I mean, you must have given it some consideration. I mean, it'd be nice just to have it derive what it needs to do from an LLM to do, less dangerous, less, not flying a plane, but just moving objects or doing simple things.
Yeah, yeah, no,
So
and
have you done any of that?
yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. There's robot arm picks up Hannah. So don't let me kind of direct you. I'm 100% for it. I just don't feel like right now I would trust. I'm saying, like, me personally, I don't trust. I like to keep the LLMs in their lane. I know a lot of people are big on the other way where they want LLMs to hold on, how am I gonna shut this down?
So do you think it's just premature? Like it's too
It's
soon to be wading into that water?
Yeah, exactly. I like, here, let me show you
Oh,
There's a feature in some of the GPT models where they can map speech to a set of functions. So you can basically give the model a definition of all the things your robot can do and the parameters they need. And it'll map quite nicely. And so as long as your robot has like safety mechanisms to handle the low level things so it doesn't crash, the model can decide what to do, and form plans and do
Yeah,
things.
that's been around. It's been developing for a while. Like the SEICAN, if you've heard of the SEICAN research, and then research after that. Do as I can, not as I say. It's a whole uh, series of, well, it's a paper in robotics at Google, and
Yeah.
there's newer, and the Palm, PALM, Palm SEICAN, where they use it to control robots, and it forms plans, and it matches up multiple, it matches up the LLM with what it can do, and then it forms plans. So you tell it, I spilled my drink, can you help? And it figures out the steps, find a sponge, go,
Hey, Sam, I muted you, and then you muted you, so you're totally muted. Can you unmute one of your microphones?
There we go. Okay. Yeah, so this is my actual voice, and then I will stay muted on my phone. There we go.
Oh yeah, you've got Palm E up there.
Yeah, I no, 100%. There was actually people who had figured out how to get the LLMs to kind of like, okay, there's a banana, therefore do this. There's like a small team. And I thought it was really good. I just like I said, there's more of a personal preference, is that I do prefer right now just to keep LLMs in their domain. Like this is a personal kind of like choice. But we'll see, right? Like if it gets to be a better, I prefer like machine learning and like, reinforced like just like different models, not sort of like language models per se. You know what I mean? But yeah, anyways, let's take a look at
But
this Turbot.
if you like, for instance, I'm thinking of really using it as a way to convert commands that people give into robot commands that match, um, using it as a language converter, right? To
Yeah,
command.
yeah, I'm down with the language conversions. Yeah, that I'm okay with. So yeah, we got a little Turtlebot. It's a little dark. Let me turn on some lights.
Okay, you've got a video there. You can
Yeah, so this is my little setup. This is that's my
spotlight.
little RTX. So under my desk, I have a cute little turtle bot. It's got the OD, it's got the RP, I guess it's pronounced, LiDAR, and I have a little PS4 joystick, little PS4 joystick. So yeah, I kind of undocked. Oh wait.
You want to spotlight him? Whoever's in charge, Thomas.
Yeah, so I can click like undock.
It is spotlighted.
Sam, you might have to stop sharing your screen in order for us to see the video more than just postage stamp size.
You have to do a side by side to see
There you
it.
go.
All right, he shut it off. Never mind.
There you go. So yeah, so he's a hack together robot. So the funny thing about this little guy is that he was made from a whole bunch of broken parts at ClearPath. So for example, there's like these USB ports on the this like top circuit board. And it was just one of them was broken. So I'm like, oh, okay, like the rest is fine. I'll try it out. The LiDAR, I don't know what was wrong with the camera. It seems perfect. But the LiDAR and camera engineering just kind of was like, yeah, like I need this. I think it was like the lunchroom at the time, kind of cleared out. And so I was like, one of my friends grabbed it, and then he's like, he knows I like all this stuff, right? So the platform too, I think the Create 3 literally had some shipping damage. Like there was some damage on the plastic, so we couldn't sell it to a customer. So I guess I don't know if iRobot gave us a credit or we just kind of said whatever, toss it, but yeah, so I was like, really, that's kind of, so it doesn't have all the proper stands. I kind of just hacked some standoffs in there, but for all intents and purposes it works just fine. So I attached some speakers to it, so that's how he talks. I think these speakers are just like $35, and then he's got like the little bumper sensor, cliff sensor, kidnap sensor. And so yeah, I'm just using this little joystick to kind of move him around. So I can run some topics. Let me just put my phone down. And I guess I'll just run them. So ROS 2 source, ROS 2 run, localize. So let's see if this node will work. Window. ROS 2 topic, echo, localize. No, I'm gonna publish. Localize, standard message, data.
Hello.
So I don't know if my phone audio is off. Hold on.
We just heard that actually.
Yeah, that would have been through my microphone, my other microphone.
In fact, I'm hearing the LiDAR.
Hello, I am Echo 4R.
Yeah, so that's his little voice.
It's a little reminiscent of the Daleks and Doctor Who.
Yeah, so let me see if I can get his like GPT up. Lost. Yeah, so the funny thing is I think Thomas asked me to like kind of do a little presentation. I'm like, it was like one day I was like, okay, I'll try. And then I jumped into the GPT stuff, and of course I was like, oh Sam, you idiot. Of course they changed all the models and like how you use them. So that's why I had to move to that news novelle thing, or whatever it's called, Hermes, from my like the model that I like, loved and cherished. So I kind of had to change some of my code to kind of get that to
That's
work.
I've had that problem too. You go away for a few months or something, and you come back, and well, it could be broken. I mean, but things change, especially with the models, and if you're not keeping up to date, you get left behind or something.
I know, it's crazy. Okay, so I have that. Okay, so I think I have the GPT up. I'm gonna try publishing to, so the topic I use is called GPT/prompts. And I'm just gonna say hello question mark. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna flip from my phone to my screen. How do I do this? I'm gonna push stop video, and I'm gonna push share. So I kind of show you guys what the GPT tokens looks like. Let me know when you guys can see my screen.
It's blank. Oh, now it's good. Now it's good.
Yeah, I noticed like the zoom in Linux is a little bit not quite right. It's a little bit slow for some reason. So this is kind of what the kind of the tokenizations look like in GPT for all. So if I go, usually I would whisper in, right? So I didn't get a chance to look at the whisper module yet. But I would say, what planet are you from? So basically this would usually be where your whisper topics would transcribe into. So I'll hit that, and then it gets received down here. So it says, what planet are you from? This is all powered from GPT-4 that. So this is kind of what the tokenization looks like. So it says, I am from the distant world of Zog. And so the reason why, so this is like called the streamed approach. And the reason why I stream is that when I vocalize out, I will break on periods, commas, exclamations, semicolons, and colons, basically all those kind of punctuations. And so as soon as like the tokenization builds up like a small, we'll call it an utterance, like sort of like a half sentence or whatever, or a full sentence, I will shove that out to be vocalized. And so what it does is it kind of gives a real natural pause and break to the vocalizations, that it just speaks almost like a true human. It will pause where it should pause and speak where it should speak. So if I ask it to do something a little more complicated, like write me a poem about alien robots, I do that, so it gets received down here. I don't know if the did I not run the vocalization? Oh, it looks like I might have a bug because I see it trying to spit stuff out. Yeah, it's trying to spit stuff out, but it's not quite. Let me check my code. But basically, yeah, so see how like it's breaking after the comments. Yeah, so what I do is I kind of tokenize it. I will spit it out as per commas, all those punctuation stops, and then I will spit the entire thing out. I think I do that because if you get all the base components running, you will actually move to this, and I'm wondering how I can record this. I might try putting my headset on my mic, because for some reason like that shared sound stuff does not work on Linux very well. So this is kind of like where you can get, once you get all your GPTs, all your personalities written out, you can do what is called, I think they call it, well, everybody has a different word for it, but I think it's kind of commonly known as like auto GPT, where you have one person who's like a project manager, you have one person who's like a sales manager, you have one person who's like an engineer, and you kind of enter and say, hey, I want to design a home robot that is like R2D2, and then go, and you hand that off to your project manager, and then he has all these conversations with the with his team. So this is one I did for D&D. Oh, come on, really? There we go.
Session. Scene begins in a small village near the edge of the goblin-infested forest. The villagers are huddled together, sharing stories of recent goblin raids and the loss of their precious food supplies. As you enter the village, you notice the tension in the air as the villagers whisper amongst themselves, fearing the next attack from the goblins. You approach the village elders, who ask for your help in stopping the goblin raids and recovering their stolen food. The mission is urgent, and the villagers' lives are at stake. With determination in your heart, you accept the quest and set out to face the challenges ahead.
This newfound knowledge, I lead the party to focus on rescuing any captured elves or dwarves while simultaneously searching for the goblin's lair. We continue tracking through the forest, careful not to disturb the area where the ambush took place. Eventually, we discover a cave entrance hidden behind some large boulders. This could be the location of the goblin's lair, and our next step is to carefully investigate the entrance and prepare for an encounter with the goblins.
As a level 2 elf female wizard, you decide to lead the party towards the cave entrance while using your fire magic to create a safe path through the forest. You also use your knowledge of nature and forest to avoid disturbing any potential clues or tracks left by the captured elves or dwarves. Upon reaching the cave entrance, you take the role of a scout and use your keen senses to detect any
So you guys kind of get the gist of it, right? So you can create like a whole bunch of robots that could essentially talk to each other, interact, and potentially work as a team to accomplish a goal.
I really cannot see why Amazon Kindle cannot use something like this. It drives me nuts that I cannot listen to their books. This is cool.
This is cutting edge, leading edge technology.
So that's like auto. You mean Auto GPT has was created a few years ago, and this is sort of the late. Well, did you have to write that thing yourself? Are they like is it like an Auto GPT? You said.
Yeah, it's something that I kind of a little bit wrote myself. I used the voices from Kokui, so I didn't have to like, do anything painful to get the voices. And then it was just a bunch of ROS topics that I just kind of like threw around in sort of like I think I did in sort of like a DM, then like the party leader goes, and then back to the DM, and then the other players. I don't know. I did something like that, some
Mm,
sort of a ordering. Um,
mm,
and I kind of trained. I think there was like the party leader, he was like a level 3 ranger, and then there was like a wizard girl and like a fighter, like a level 1 fighter, like a new fighter, like he was like new to the group. And so I kind of said like, hey fighter, you're like kind of new, and you kind of just want to protect the group in general. You don't want to be too leader like. The elf girl was kind of like wild with her fire magic and stuff like that, so they had like their own little
mm.
kind of characters. And I did like, the levels, I did the HP, and they'll kind of remember some of their arrows that they use, like how, like if you give them like 4 arrows, they know they only have 4 arrows. So it's
Oh,
pretty
nice.
good.
But essentially, it's multiple instances of Chat GPT running, right, or whatever.
Yeah, and I think I use different models too, honestly. Like
Right.
I use like a more of an instruct thing, I think, for the DM. Use a little more like structural. And then I use like a storyteller for the ranger. So I use different models that kind of fit their role. So like the starling's really good at storytelling. Um, so I switched up some of the models too, just to give it a little spice. But yeah, no, that was really cool. I enjoyed that.
Very.
Great demo.
Yeah, you get to be really creative if you use your creative skills and to come up with
Mhm.
combinations, and then it fills in all the details.
You can do after Lord of the Rings story.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one genre. You can do
Yeah.
something totally different, like sci-fi adventure action or sci-fi action film or detective sleuth, whatever story. You could do whatever you want.
It would be great if they would use it for ebooks, use that technology for ebooks. That would be wonderful.
You mean make new books, new stories?
Put existing ebooks into, was that Auto GPT?
Right. But that's creating a whole new story there, right? Oh, you mean just the vocalization part of it would be,
Right,
yeah.
right. To vocalize the books, the novels.
Yeah, that would be good. And different voices that all match the characters.
That would be awesome.
Oh, yeah. They don't do that, do they?
Mhm.
Well, guess what? They will. I was thinking about kind of like the future of technology. I was thinking I should actually buy a whole bunch of land, because everybody is talking about robotics and farming, and we're all kind of watching like the food prices go like up like exponentially. So I was thinking like actually I should kind of jump in on that. I think that like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep progressing. I think like a general AI where it can watch you do your job, it can watch you fly a plane, and it just generally is like not bad at doing pretty much everything. I think that that's coming. So that's why I'm really happy to be in ClearPath at this point. Like I my original career was like IT, like I have an IT corporation, I still do it. But I did feel like robotics was like a big, it was going to be the future. And then literally 2 years into being with ClearPath, poof, AI just blew up. So I think this is like a very, exciting time to kind of be alive in terms of robotics. And yeah, no, I really look forward to the future.
Right path, right place, right time, huh? Oh, I had a question on back to your chat sessions with GPT Turbo or 3.5 that you saved there. That response generate or response evaluator that you were showing us that's just a conversation you're having, but if you want to convert that into something that you in your code, what's your process of doing that?
So sort of how you saw like the robot had like eventually it iterated into where I was giving it like a robot had an identity. So those would all transform into variables. So you would set like the robots, you probably make a class like your, like the robot class. So you want to know there's a whole bunch of things you want to know. So you want to know what's the robot's personality. You want to know what the robot is equipped at, and I think it was your robot. Was it? Did you make the orange one, the big orange? Was that
Yeah,
you?
that's mine. Yeah.
So I looked at your prompt and you were kind of hitting off, like I was like, whoa, this is like the same, like this looks like a prompt just like I would write, because you were hitting off like I have this sensor, I have 4 wheels, or I have this, or I have that. It's like, yeah, you give it all of its self-identifying things. And maybe you want to move away from prompts into like embedding or some, something kind of not part of the prompt, right? Because then you're wasting tokens. But essentially you get this information into it one way or another of who it is. And then you start moving into rags too. I don't know if you've touched on like the agents and stuff like that. So Chris
Yeah, I've
wrote a
heard of
whole
them.
bunch of demos about sort of like the, about using, augmented retrieval augmented was it generation, I forget then whatever it's called, but he wrote basically like hello world of how to do all of these things for the Olama. He loves Olama, like that's his thing. So he wrote all that kind of stuff. So yeah, basically with that, you can empower your robot. You create yourself like a really fine-tuned model that gives you the kind of outputs you want. And then you can choose. Like I think I was messing around with JSON format, I was messing around with YAML format. But basically it would be like a standard thing, and then here's my prompt where I would give it like, hey, go pick up the laundry basket. And then yeah, it would come up with those targeted actions. You would kind of try to form that into the list of actions your robot is capable of at that time, right? Like you can obviously add more features, give it a manipulator arm, do whatever, but at the time you just give it the list of what it can do, and then try to see if that response is something the robot can do. And also too, another concept is that I wanted a robot that would just listen, and then the first thing it will do is decide if it even should respond, right? Because like me and you are talking and no one else is responding, but if I say, hey Thomas, like how am I for time, that's going to cue Thomas to probably check, to give a response. So the first thing in my like sort of new modern pipeline is it checks if it should even say anything. And is it an expert on robotics? No. Okay, don't say anything. You know what I mean? And so, and that was kind of with the D&D concept, where it was a character, and it's like if I tell the character to do something, or if it's a group thing, and it's like I need someone to pick a lock, well, you're the rogue, so then you respond, hey, I can do it. If not, it just pipes down, because a lot of it's just like prompt response. You get into like locked in thing, right? And then if you want to kind of make a more chatty thing, I was starting to embed the RSS feeds, right? Where it's like, it polls for news. And if it's walking around the office, like, I work at ClearPath, right? So it's like, you got this little robot, it's driving around on its own autonomously. And it's like, oh, hey, ClearPath, Rockwell stocks just went up. And it's like, oh, cool. And then I was also, and this is kind of where it gets really cool, and starting to embed Gmail. So I gave the robot its own Gmail account. Well, guess what? Now you have email. So one of the big things is if I said, okay, I need like, one of the customer service girls to operate this robot and do all the things I did, good luck, right? But they can send an email and it could be like, hey, go explore the office or bring this envelope to Sam's office. And they can speak to it simply, they can email it, or you can schedule a calendar. Let's say it's like one of those like those security robots, the Ascentos. I think they're called Ascento. You know what I'm talking about? It's got the two big wheels. So you could just schedule it all through Google Calendar. The robot pulls it right through API, and then that triggers actions too. So there's a whole bunch of very neat human ways to interact with your robot intelligently that we could explore and implement. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
It's pretty amazing there, Sam. That's some wonderful advances you've made. How long has it taken you to get this far with it?
One day. No, I was just kidding. I only had one day to kind of throw things together to try to modernize the GPT. So I got to go back and I'm gonna clean up a lot of my code and throw it on GitHub. So I feel like honestly it takes 2 years to make. So I'm on what's called the ClearPaths. I'm on the complex integration team, which is sort of, we basically take the base platform and we add on fancy stuff like lidars and stuff and just make it all work. So you have to have like a mechanical, like you have to use I'm using SolidWorks every day. You have to be good, like you're drilling, you're machining, you're doing all the mechanical stuff, and then great, you think your job's over at that? Nope. Then you got to do the electrical. You got to, power everything. You got communication wire everything. You got to troubleshoot like weird networking stuff, ROS2 middleware stuff. So you got to do that. And then, and then you could jump into the, like the heavier end of software where you're using Move It. And I'm going to be honest, like it's almost midnight for me because I'm Eastern Standard Time, and I'll go do robots all day and then I'll do robots at night, you know what I mean? Quite often, not all the time, but I'm not just like here for like the paycheck. I'm here because I love robots. So knowing that and knowing I'm fairly smart, it took me 2 solid years to get to what's considered like average in ClearPath. And normally that takes 4 years, like usually 3 to 4 years. I just was really, dedicated to it. So I would say like, yeah, I'd say on average 3 years, really paying attention, having the mentors around you to answer absolutely any question. And what really made me kind of get outside of my comfort zone was ChatGPT, because literally, like, I don't know if you saw one of the last prompts, but I was like, can you just write this code in like in a ROS2 node? There it is. I didn't have an idea of what libraries to use. Like if you ask me what's like a facial detection library, I don't do that every day. But GPT is just like, yeah, just use this, CNN, and it works great. I was like, okay, cool. That really accelerated my like AI kind of like development into it, where I felt comfortable jumping into stuff that I literally had no clue, that I probably should have went to university for like 3 years at least to like have a concept of what's going on. So that's truth. That's the truth. And that's why you'll probably find like, it's like, I know a lot, but I also know like nothing.
That's good. That's good. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're rounding up the hour to 9 o'clock, or if you're on the East Coast, midnight, or where Sam is. So we're not going to keep Sam much longer. I assume you have to work in the morning, don't you?
Yep, I do. ClearPath is actually a really good place to work. I have like a project that I get 25 days basically to do it. I have a really cool manager, And if I was to push myself, I could probably do the project in 10 days, if I really give her. So it's we just finished our year end, so it's kind of like I don't want to say it's like our break per se, but we get some rest time with where we're not under the gun.
That's great. Would you be willing to come back and visit us next month? You think that would be too soon to come up with a little bit more stuff to show us?
Yeah, I feel like I mean, if someone else wants to do something, like I love seeing, like I actually really liked I think it was
Jim.
Jim's. I like that orange, that or big orange. I was
Yeah,
like,
thanks.
wow, that's like everything I want to do. It's like, but yeah, I guess like he's using like his like a Slam Tech platform or something.
Yep.
So everything I'm doing is gonna be ROS too, right? So but pretty much everything your robot does, that's kind of what I want to code into little demos. So that's why I was really interested in it.
Oh yeah, thanks. You can check out on YouTube. I have like 50 videos of Orange from birth to present and all the different things. And I'm moving into ROS myself in a more or a ROS project because that it's sort of that's more of the future and more marketable skill really than a proprietary thing. But you do what you can, and if you sometimes using the proprietary stuff it helps you leap over hurdles much quicker.
Yeah, so I've been and maybe I'll send you guys this link. There's something called these duckling droids. They're the ones that are at Disney's Galaxy Edge, like the Star Wars, the little kind of squat.
Oh yeah.
So there's a group on Facebook that is building them, and I joined a bunch of these kind of 3D printing ones. But no, these guys are using like real motors with like LED strip things, and these guys are good. Like they're actually using like high-end motors, and so I think my group, after we kind of code out some of these little functionalities onto this little Echo 4, we're jumping into the into one of these duckling robots to kind of squat around, which is kind of nice. So yeah, that's kind of what's on our agenda. For the future, I don't think we'll get that done for next month by any means, but yeah.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing more from you next month. And Jim, you haven't given us a demo. How about you give us a demo too? I don't know if next month or the month after.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun to see how far you've gotten with your voice IO and stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of shifted right now though to Robo Magellan. All my effort
Oh, right.
is
For
going into that. So
the contest up north, right?
yeah, I'm kind of like not doing AI stuff per se, and I kind of miss it, but
Robo games, yeah.
well, but there's a lot of cool stuff in GPS navigation and the skill, the challenges of Robo Magellan and all that, just navigating a landscape and be able to get through it and with a robot autonomously. It's a huge challenge.
It is. Again, I want to thank Sam. Thank you very much. Let's give him a hand for his presentation this evening. Really appreciate it, Sam, for doing
Thank you so much.
short notice. So I just asked him 2 days ago when he came up with this. So I doubly applaud him for that kind of short notice.
That's brave.
Thank you, Sam. Any last questions before we start closing down the meeting here, guys? I got a couple questions for Sam before you go. You're still there, right, Sam? I don't see the icon.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, good. How long have you been at ClearPath?
Only 3 years.
3 years, and you said before that you were IT.
Yeah, so I have my own little IT corporation. So I've been kind of living in my own bubble for quite a while. COVID kind of hit, and one of my, like, I have a few friends in ClearPath, and so I actually started right at the very bottom. So there's a 6-month contract for what's classed as a robot builder. And so I was like, this is perfect. 6 months, I can do that. So I was actually wrenching on like gear trains and like working with like, the very low, like, putting the base platform, what are called the base platforms together. So I actually, really enjoy that, because the hardware side is what I haven't really had a lot of. Like, it's just IT stuff like web servers and workstations and accounting software and, stuff like that. So I was really excited about it, and it was robots. I've always wanted to, work with robots. So yeah, I did that 6 months, and then they pulled me onto the integration team as a junior. And then, yeah, just recently moved me to the complex integration as a software specialist. So
So did you start with ROS at ClearPath, or were you working with ROS before that?
funny thing is that even as a builder, I barely touched ROS. Like, we just like, like raw, like, kind of like bring up, install. It was very basic commands. So I pretty much didn't know any ROS whatsoever day one as starting on the integration team. Everything I've learned in about 2.5 years to get me to where I'm at now. And this is, this kind of stuff isn't even my strengths. I feel like my real strengths is in with the manipulator arms. Um, so, I'm actually excited to do, I want to get into that Aloha project kind of stuff. So I have access to, like, the UR5Es and the what's called Canova Gen 3s. So I'm gonna get two. I have like these big mounts on my desk. I have like a big Milwaukee tool chest, and so I've drilled out two holes into it, and mounted like kind of mounting plates for these like huge arms, these big US robotic arms, or not, no, Universal Robotics arms. And yeah, so anyways, I want to do that Aloha project. So that's going to be on the future too. I'm really excited for all that AI manipulation stuff. Like, it just is like insane to me.
A lot of fun.
Hey, Sam, could I ask you to clarify something you mentioned earlier? You said that the AI boom, you felt like that really helped your company's business, because I know before the AI boom, we were seeing all kinds of Silicon Valley and other robotics companies just go out of business one after the other. And do you think that the interest in AI has strengthened your company's prospects?
No, well, I think when I said that, I didn't say company, I said myself. I feel like I was talking about me as a person. So like, when there's you as a person, you only know so much, so if you have a friend that was a plumber, cool, maybe he'll help you fix your leaky pipe. Then Google came around. All of a sudden I was watching like University of YouTube, where I could fix my washing machine because some guy in like Spain made a video about fixing my model of washing machine. And then what I was saying, that Google, then Chat GPT came, and all of a sudden I had like a personal guru right beside me at 12 o'clock at night, where I could ask it obscure questions and it would give me somewhat pretty good answers. So I was saying, more on a personal level, GPT has empowered me to do stuff that in truth I don't have any right touching, like stuff that I like, I have no knowledge whatsoever, yet within 10 minutes I have like somewhat of a working model. That for me was what I was talking about. As for the opportunity in terms of business, it's weird. It's a really weird, because everyone is getting laid off. Everyone is like scared of AI, but yet it's so amazing. And so it's like, I don't know, for me it's a very strange time where I think I think AI is the greatest thing, and robotics and all this stuff. But I just watched the Kokui guys, which I personally loved Kokui for like a year now, but they gave up. I think that 11 Labs got bought by Disney, and they got offered all the money and all the contracts, and the Kokui guys were like the runner up, and they are just so disheartened that I think the guy gave up, and I guess maybe the money wasn't rolling in. And so I guess with the AI kind of boom is there's like a lot of fears too, of like, cool, I can do all this stuff, but who wants to actually, like, are any of you guys going to pay me, $3,000 for an AI enabled turtlebot? Maybe, maybe not, right? And so I think that that's like a lot of people, and that's what they say in business: be careful that you're not jumping on the hype, if you will. Do you have real money backing you behind it? So my kind of vision is that, well, I'm with ClearPath right now, and I have access to all this robotic stuff, all these arms. And if I can kind of like embed AI into it, like I did that Turtlebot video, our Turtlebot sales were through the roof. We couldn't make them fast enough, right? Because people, professor, like where our market is universities, right? Auto sells to the AMR industries, like the warehouses. So for us, we're selling to universities, and when they see you can add GPT to it, and you can do more than just a little, I don't want to say crappy robot, but just like, okay, cool, it's like a RC car, but like expensive. um they were just selling like hotcakes. And so I kind of want to add voices to our robots. I want to add like ease of use, where you don't have to have like 8 terminal windows to do anything with them. That's kind of my goal. And if I can make ClearPath like an extra $10 million a year, great. I'm happy to help the company. It's like I help them, they help me. We both learn and grow. And it's cool to kind of get your name on stuff. Like there's a few YouTube videos on the thing, on the ClearPath site, that I'm like, it's like, yeah, I show them like the Franca Research 3 or whatever.
No,
It's good.
correct me if I'm wrong, but ClearPath is a nonprofit foundation. Is that true?
I don't think
Or am
so.
no. Okay. Well, I guess I was my Google search misled me then. Sorry.
I'm not gonna speak for them, because I actually like that. I'm not I don't think so. I think we're very like goodwill. I think that we're very open source. Like we will like there's so much stuff on our GitHub that's like open source. But to my knowledge, we're not, I've never really heard that we're
Yeah, I
nonprofit.
apologize. That was a Google failure. There's so many different things named ClearPath. It was my fault. I didn't click through to see. Thanks. Sorry.
Yeah,
Do
and we
you think
just
that
start really well.
the company could benefit from AI specialists coming in and guiding them on how to best apply AI to bring their stock up and to help them function better?
I'm not gonna say no, but I'm not gonna say yes either. So I have a friend who's a PhD in machine learning, and she's just expensive. Like she's great, but she's just very expensive, like 150K expensive. I don't know if she would be ultimately too valuable. Like, you know what I mean? Like don't get me wrong, she's valuable, but unless she's doing something on massive scale, I don't personally see like a direct benefit. Like, you know what I mean? Like their kind of process is to organize the data. You have to get really, good data sets that you want to train on. Of course, like, the data sets are going to be super messy. Um, so I don't really see at this stage a great benefit. If you can afford her, great. I would say probably what's going to happen is like the AI is going to like cook, and this is like what I'm like with the video stuff, like the source stuff. Like I'm familiar with Runway. I've done like Stable Diffusion. Like I've spent tons of time in that. But as for the video, I'm like personally waiting for it to cook a little more. So it's the same kind of concept in terms of business AI. I'm waiting for it to kind of cook a little bit, kind of like let some of the early adopters kind of go through the pains of AI. And once they've kind of like formulated these kind of curated methodologies and AI systems and models. But right now, like you're looking at like new models like every week. I don't know what you can build off of that's like truly sustainable. Like I couldn't even get my voice model to work again because it was outdated. It's gone, it's obsolete, and nobody's going to go back to it. Nobody's going to, revisit it. And I think that, so there's a lot of kind of like, what do they call it? Like kind of like, groundwork. There's a lot of ground to cover before we get to a stage where AI is just like efficiently, like financially efficiently viable, unfortunately. But I
I
don't
agree with
in
you
that
on
race.
that. I agree with you on that. I've often wondered about the benefits of it being an open source. I understand that there is some benefit because it being open source, it does push with progress. But the problem is it's also they're coming out with things so fast that it's also impeding the progress of businesses who want to use it. So I totally get what you're saying there. I agree.
Yeah, we need it to plateau a little bit, right? To a
Right.
point where there's, like a model is like reliable for a duration of time. Because right now you got like a 1 week duration. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Okay.
OpenAI has kind of been the best, right? Where they hold it, GPT 3.5 Turbo, and then with a date on it, even like, January 23rd GPT, and then we'll support this until, whenever. And so obviously they are the one, that understands business model that can be done right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that Rockwell took you over, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to correct that record.
Yeah, I see Rockwell there too.
It's a division of Rockwell Automation, which is founded. Rockwell was a publicly traded company, $9 billion income, started in 1903. So you've got a real solid backing behind you. I shouldn't be worried about your personal status there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice to be
And
acquired by some giant company sometimes.
Guys, it's getting late, and we should let Sam go.
Yeah.
can someone
His turn.
copy the chat for me and email it to me, please?
The chat will be put up on the website a little later in the week with the video. Thank you
Thank you.
again, Sam. I got time for one more question for Sam. Anybody? All right.
Thank you, Sam.
Just
It
the
was a nice
mechanics.
presentation.
So you're going to put the recording up on the HBRC
Yes, we are.
website?
I will be
Okay.
doing that. It'll be a few days. I have 2 of them to put up now. Again, thank you. And
Very cool.
I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. It was a great meeting. We had Sam delivered an awesome presentation. Thank you again, Sam. We'll see all of you next month. It'll be the 4th week. This month it was the 5th week because we had to do it that way. Anyway, thank you all. I'm gonna shut down the meeting in a minute. And lastly, Sam, please come back. We welcome you always.
All right, guys. Thanks. Take care.
Good night,
All
everyone.
right. See ya.
Right.
How you been doing, Jim? Okay.
Yeah, I've been doing all right.
I had to let Sam go. It's after midnight his time. I was feeling bad for the poor guy.
Yeah, it's like Camp Peavy with his I lost count, but he's got at least 4, 5, 6, 7 meetings a month that start at 7 p.m. our time, 10 p.m. his time. So I don't know how he does that.
Maybe he doesn't wake up till 9 or 10 p.m.
Well, he's retired, unlike a lot of us.
Yeah, not me.
Still waiting to hear back from Disney.
I hope
Oh
that works
yeah.
out for you, Tim.
Yeah, how's that going?
Well, I got an email from him asking if I was still interested, so I said yes. So right now I'm still on the waiting list. I haven't heard anything back from him since. So
and nothing from Garmin, Holt.
Gunnar Holt, no, I haven't heard
Garner,
anything
I
from
mean,
him. He was saying sometime in April, maybe. I don't know. I haven't really contacted them at all. I really dislike that one guy that basically threw me under the bus. That's why I got off the project.
yeah, that didn't sound good, but
Yeah, from
When
everything
he
I heard, it was not
in
a.
private tells you if it's between you or me, he and I, it's me, then you. Uh, that sort of kills it for me.
yeah, you got to be comfortable with your managers and what, and they they have to trust you, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, he had no idea what the electronics or there's computer programming entailed. He thinks he could do it yesterday type of shit.
Hey, change the subject here, Jim. I just noticed that OpenAI has released the programmability of their vision software.
Oh, did you get in? I haven't got any notice. I'm should be on their mailing list, but
I didn't get a notice either. I'm just looking on their website. I'll send you the link. I'll put the
I
link.
haven't. Yeah, I love to get back into this AI stuff, but boy, it's like it's kind of eating up a lot of robotics time. If you, it's
Yeah,
but
you
yeah, I mean it's
so much time in a month. You work on the hardware, then there's the software. You work on the
yeah.
software, then there's integration of the software. You work on the integration, then there's the AI you got to wrap back in, and then you got to keep it all running on things mechanically break. At least in mine, because I got those big animatronic robots. Those are always breaking.
Yeah, I mean that is a lot of hardware involved and electronics and stuff, and then software, and then the AI is this big like time sink into thinking and typing and interaction. It's like software. It's all software sort of, right? Which can eat up a lot. And part of the hobby, the joy of the hobby, is the different things you do, and AI could eat up a lot. But yeah, I definitely want to do more, like that whole artificial human thing I did with Cooper.
I love that. That's excellent.
I I could pick that back. I mean, I spent a long time building up this big giant blueprint in Unreal Engine. People were asking me to post it. I should just post it. Not like gonna try to make money off it. But whole companies have, this guy that was sort of helping me, I was helping him, and he created a company to do that, and he charges other business to business and charges them thousands and thousands of dollars, and then they make a virtual spokesperson or whatever sort of interactive bot. And yeah, it's a business, but boy, it's a lot of work to do that business. You need a staff and all that, but I just want to do it as a hobby. But yeah, then I'm like, oh, but this is cool, but robotics is making things move and motors spin and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So
Well, by the way, are you flying up to the Bay Area? Are you driving?
well, yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna be driving because I'm taking stuff that won't fit on the air,
If you want to
yeah, it
call,
won't.
let me know. We could take my van, and that would be fine.
Yeah, I mean, well, there might be, yeah, I haven't figured out or made the plans yet exactly. There's also like this guy, Chris Mayer, he
Oh, I
goes,
know, Chris.
yeah, Chris, he's probably gonna be driving up. Um, but yeah, the carpool option might be possible. I'll have to see if our schedules, whatever. But yeah, I haven't like sent, registered yet. I hope, I can, at least, at the very least, I could enter Orange into like the best in show or something. If I don't get my Robo Magellan going, it's gonna be kind of a lot of work right now to, um, but I've gotten some microcontroller code done to like I've took this RC truck and now I've got control of it with a Teensy, so at least I can my program can move the truck forward, backward, turn right and left, and I can switch to auto mode, auto meaning autonomous mode, or switch to manual mode where the old controller still works. And then I'm putting in I just put in last night the dead man or the safety shut off switch. So I'm using the same remote control in autonomous mode. You have to hold the trigger at full throttle or whatever, and if you let go, then the motors stop. So that I figure might as well it's time to put in the safety stuff right at the beginning of the project so that it's deep down in the microcontroller code. So then when I wrap that into the higher level stuff, that'll always be there.
That's smart thinking, Jim. That's good. That's good.
It was also when you're in there, you might as well do it. It's easier now than later but yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work. I have to move. I want to, move into the higher levels. Like I have to get the higher level stuff in, the ROS stuff into this, and yeah, it's the learning curve. Just even with some ROS training, jumping back into that is always kind of steep. But that's the other option I was considering was the Arju pilot, but some of the other people that do RoboMagellan go the Arju pilot route, which is a hardware software combination that you have to buy that hardware compatible, electronics compatible with Arju pilot, which is for drones or land vehicles or anything that steers and flies, whatever. But it's a whole ecosystem. But some of the previous winners use that Arju pilot. And you're familiar with Sergey, he uses Arju pilot with his lawnmower. Marco is the other guy. Marco is the guy that has won RoboMagellan with Arju pilot. Maybe that's for a future year of entry because yeah, you have to buy special hardware, and I'd rather just use Raspberry Pi and Teensy and
Oh, I forgot to turn off the recorder. Damn.
oh
I have to edit this thing.